Now, the watch I'm going to show you today, I've actually seen before. I've seen before online, I'd seen reviews of it. And when I'd seen those reviews, when I'd seen those pictures, I have to admit, I sort of thought, it looks okay, but not for me. But then when I was able to get the opportunity to get hands-on with this watch, almost immediately I realized that this is something rather special. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I'm talking about watches. And today I'm talking about an Orient Star Diver, a watch that I had seen quite a few sort of times online, and a watch I have to admit didn't particularly interest me. I thought it looked okay, but I had no inclination, no reason, no motivations to go out there and try it on myself, to get it in hand or even buy it. But then when I had the opportunity to borrow this watch from a friend called Mark, thank you Mark for lending me this watch, and also have the opportunity to have it a little bit longer term, actually hold on to it for a couple of months so I can actually sort of get some hands-on experience with, I realized that this watch actually might be something rather special. And now that I've actually had it in hand a couple of days, I'm ready to do a first impression, show you the things that blew me away, show you the things that really captured my attention beyond what I'd already seen online or on screens or pictures of it, and show you why I think I've been blown away and why I'm really looking forward to actually having some time with this watch. Let's flip the camera around and let's see this Orient Star Diver. When I first got hands-on with this Orient Star Diver, the REAU0307E, there were 5 things that stood out to me. Firstly, the packaging's good, but what I like about it is it comes with a spare strap, which is nice, little hang tag, a little bit of information, a watch on the bracelet, but also that spare strap. That spare strap is a really nice thing and was the first thing that stood out to me. The second thing that stood out to me was the sheer quality of this watch. There is something sort of next level about this. In fact, when I first got hands on it, and when I continue to sort of feel it now, the thing I keep thinking is, this is better than most of the Seikos that I've handled. The quality of this thing is outstanding. The bracelet and the clasp is probably very similar to this sort of price range of Seiko, but the head of the watch, the dial, the hands, the case, it feels better quality than some of the Seikos, some of the Prospex Seikos that I've owned. And that's saying a lot for this watch because I do love my Prospex Seikos. The next thing that stood out to me is actually that sunburst dial. This is the green and gold edition. There are a couple of other sort of variants of different colors of this one, but that green, that sunburst green is absolutely stunning. And that follows into the next thing that stood out to me is those really cool and interesting hands. Now, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about those when I'd sort of seen pictures and reviews of this watch, but in hand, I think they look absolutely fantastic. And the last thing that stood out to me was basically how nice it is in hand versus what I'd seen online. This was a bit of an unexpected surprise. I didn't expect it to like this watch so much. I didn't expect it to be so good. I didn't expect to think that maybe I actually want to own this watch. Maybe I want to buy this one for myself because it is actually rather fantastic. When you look at the dial, you can see it's rather interesting, those hands, but beyond those hands, you have a power meter at the top there. You got a date window. There are applied indices around the sides there, which really match into those interesting hands. Just a beautiful looking dial, really nice bezel action, like outstanding bezel action. Absolutely no back play whatsoever. Feels really nice in hand. Movement inside of here has hand winding. Obviously screw down being a 200-meter diver. And it also has hacking. As I mentioned about the bracelet itself, it probably feels very similar to sort of the Prospex sort of watches from Seiko. Solid end links, solid sort of links there. But inside here, we do have a pressed clasp. The back of the watch is fairly simple, has that sort of Orient Star S on the back, but it just has a really nice sort of feel to it. Now, this is a rather big watch. I think this is around about 43 millimeters, which for me is probably sort of pushing the boundaries for me, especially for dive watches. But on this one, I'm actually really happy with it because it is actually fitting to my 6 3/4 or around about 17 centimeter wrists really, really well. You know, it's not a small watch. Don't expect it to be a small watch, but it feels really amazing. And I'm so glad that I've been able to borrow this one and borrow it for a little bit long term because I'm going to get some opportunities to actually wear this one before I do the in-depth review of it. But whilst we wait for that one, maybe check out these videos next.